Hi guys, this is Ryuutsu and I've been requested to do a tutorial here and then, so I thought I'd give that a go. Today I decided I'm gonna go with some tips as to how to approach digital painting. For example, for someone who's used to doing the art with lines and just coloring behind them, but wants to try getting rid of the lines and give painting a go. First of all, I just want to say that none of this is the ultimate truth or anything. There's no one correct way to do things. This is just something I've come to observe for myself and thought it might help some of you. But yeah, there's always other possibilities, obviously. So yeah, I've drawn a quick sketch here, and one thing I used to do and something I see people struggling with very often is this. Basically, you draw a sketch, lines, right? You draw basic, you lay down basic flat colors behind it, right? It's just gonna be really quick right now, so never mind that. But yeah, basically, you lay down. I'm just gonna do skin for now, just to prove the point. But basically, yeah, you lay down the flat colors, and then what people like to do is they do this. They basically, when they shade, they leave their sketch on, right, and they try to basically they try to lay their shadows down, right, like this, as if they were coloring behind their lines. But the issue with this is that when you remove the lines, it looks weird, right? And the reason that is because you're basically trying to redraw the whole work underneath the lines, while still wanting the image to look exactly like your sketch. But it's not going to be exactly the same, because you would literally need to redraw it from scratch. It's not impossible, but it does take a lot of work, and you'd often end up unsatisfied with the result, which is what I used to be. And the lines also make it harder to keep track of values and the like, and so like you often end up with like drawing the shading your planes of the face, and it looks great with the lines, but then when you remove it, even if you blur stuff and the like, it will somehow, it still stays it lacks contrast, is what I'm saying. Is yeah, it doesn't, you're lacking those very deep shades and values that the lines provide for you. So now there's basically there's two different approaches that I personally find less time consuming and a lot more fruitful, as well as kind of less stressful, if that makes sense. Basically, you start with this exact same thing, right? You have a sketch and you have base colors. Yeah, sorry, this is my first time doing this, and painting and talking is kind of hard to do at the same time. But yeah, basically what you do is lay the base colors, put some base shading in just to like get the feel of no wait, this is not what I wanted to do. Let's say, yeah, you put like just some very, very basic indication of shading, just like to get a feel for where the light source is, kind of like this. I mean, you can basically refine it as much as you like, but just keep in mind that you will be this is not the stage, the finalizing stage. You're gonna do that later on. But yeah, let's say you do like, I don't know, something like this, right? You can like just blend it slightly. Like normally I would probably add like lights, and I would add um, a, a darker version of shadows probably, but for the purposes of this I'm just gonna go with this one simple shadow. And basically what you're doing here is, instead of painting under the lines with this method, you're painting with your lines. Basically, after you would do this, you could easily just merge the layers together with your lines. And now you don't need to work on one layer, but I personally find that it helps the whole thing. It kind of feels more coherent if you do this. And it also forces you to relax and not be too big of a perfectionist when laying in your shading, which I would know because I'm an enormous perfectionist myself. But yeah, honestly, just work on as many layers as you find appropriate. I just find it easier to just shade on one single layer. What you end up doing with this method is basically you're blending your lines with the shading, like so. You just you color pick your lines. I mean your shades or lines if you find that necessary, and you cover up the stuff you don't need. But what this helps you to do is retain the image that you envisioned with the sketch, right? Because this way you're not giving any of it up. However, if things do end up changing, like, don't worry about it. Your final product is a painting, not a sketch, and it's absolutely okay if it changes as you paint. Shading sometimes makes some parts like feel smaller or bigger because it kind of defines it in space instead of just like a flat version of it, like in the sketch. And sometimes changing might actually make it better, who knows. So basically what I'm saying is don't stress. But yeah, this is how I like to go about things. Like even for example, if you want to do the lips, you just pick a color you want for the lips, and even go like, even if you shaded this, just go in with a lighter color and you can still like just shade everything. And then you basically, what you do, you just keep working at it, keep taking away the lines. Actually, if you prefer, you can even keep some of the lines if it suits you. There is really, honestly, no rules to painting, so just do what feels right. But this is something I found really, this is something I found to be a really cool method. So to keep things similar to your sketch while still looking very coherent. Yeah, basically, and then the second approach that I wanted to mention is to start without any sketch whatsoever. So basically what you do is, hang on, yeah, what you do with that would be, for example, you would just lay in, you would just lay in like a basic shape with a basic color, right? Like, let's say we wanna draw a face. You just like lay a very, very basic kind of thing like this. And what you do is basically you're sculpting from here on. You're sculpting a thing out of basic colors. You're forcing. You're also kind of like, the reason I think this method is really good is you're basically forcing yourself to draw more freely, like without worrying where your lines were. I mean, it can be a bit harder to nail proportions in the first go especially, but you can always use a select tool and, I don't know, move things around if you feel, you know. That's the advantage of drawing digitally after all. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with playing around with moving things if you feel something doesn't work. But yeah, let's see how, for example, this would go. It's like, maybe I will pick darker color at this point. Just like try to imagine where the eyes would be. Maybe imagine like there's gonna be a nose here. The under neck shadow is gonna be here. Just like, you know, just imagine the basic shapes and just start from that, and you keep refining as you go. You start very, very basic, like just very, very random stuff. Now, I myself don't use this technique very often, so I'm not that good at it, but I thought it was worth mentioning as well, because I know some of people find this a lot more satisfying, and maybe it's something you would prefer as well. So, yeah. But yeah, basically you can do a lot with this. And the reason why sometimes painting on one layer is really good is because you can instantly blend everything together without worrying what layer that small smudges on that you wanted to blend. So yeah, you can just like this. And let's say we want some lights here. And for lights, I usually put on a separate layer and then merge it and work from there, just so I have the basic highlight color, and I can work with that later. So the nose captures a lot of light usually, as well as the cheeks. Right, and let's say we merge this together. And so on and so forth. Basically, I would need to work on this a lot more, but since I have a limited amount of time for this, I'm just gonna leave it at this. One final thing that I wanted to mention that's really helped me push my paintings further is using textured brushes, like so, or you can find those like on DeviantArt or even here on YouTube. I know that many artists leave links to their brushes in descriptions. Now, I myself got this with this version of size, so I need to figure out how I can upload this somewhere for other people to use. And when I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna share this as well. But until then, yeah, you can probably find them anywhere if you Google it, or if you have any questions regarding it, I will even help you out if you ask me in the comment section. But yeah, just go nuts with those, try out a few brushes, see what suits you, and really, it really helped me a lot with like blending and making drawings feel less flat in a sense. So yeah, that's that, I believe. I'm still learning myself, discovering new things every day, but I hope some of this helps you, at least some of you. And if there's anything you would like me to explain, or you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. And if there's something you would like me to cover next time, or if you didn't understand something and would like me to go more in depth with this, just yeah, comment and I will take it into consideration. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching and keep drawing.